crown you now with many crowns. You reign victorious. You are high and lifted up. Jesus, Son of God, the treasure of heaven crucified, and worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb. Thank you for this love, Lord, and thank you for the nail-pierced hands. Wash me in your cleansing flow. Now all I know is your forgiveness and embrace. Worthy is the Lamb seated on the throne. We crown you now with many crowns. You reign victorious, and you are high and lifted up. And Jesus, Son of God, the treasure of heaven crucified, and worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb, worthy, and worthy is the Lamb, and worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb. There is one on the throne, Jesus, holy. He is worthy of praise, and honor, and glory. There is one on the throne, creatures bow, giving praise to him and him alone. There's none like the Lord, and worthy is the Lamb who was slain and seated on the throne. There's none like my Lord, and elders, creatures bow, giving praise to him and him alone. There's none like the Lord. There's none like my Lord. There's none like the Lord.
Today is a day of celebration, a day to honor the men who've shaped us, led us, and walked us through life. It's a day to say thanks to all the dads, for all the times your strength held us up, and the moments your wisdom lit our path, for encouraging us to seek God with all our heart, all our soul, and all our strength, for living your life as an example of what a man of God should be. Thank you for the discipline we deserved and the grace we did not, for the memories we treasure and the lessons we cherish. Today, we thank God for all the ways you've shaped our lives. We love you, Dad.
Well, good morning. Happy Father's Day to everyone, all the dads. Where's the dads at? All right. So we have some wonderful dads at Coweta Church, many that I look up to and that are incredible hearts and have such an incredible wisdom about them. But I want to do something a little bit different today. I've never done this before, especially on a Father's Day. Never done this at all on a Sunday, ever, in 20 plus years of ministry. So this is something that I want to do. Many have heard my story, sharing about my relationship with my father when I was young and how it was a pretty difficult relationship that God restored later on in life. And he passed away back in 2016. So 10 years ago, this August, my father passed away. And so when you're a young father, you know, growing up as a young man, you're trying to find a father figure that can speak life to you, and it's a good role model. And so I started looking for examples of what it means to be a man, what it means to be a father, and whatnot. And God put wonderful people in my life, but having a father pass away at a young age, and also being a young father, I gleaned from a lot of fathers. And so I thought, why don't we take that kind of concept and use it for Father's Day on a Sunday morning? So I've asked 4 fathers here at Coweta Church. They're going to join me on stage. And today we're going to interview 4 fathers from Coweta Church. And we had another, Mr. Chris Tomier, and he has food poisoning, he says. So, and I'm joking. He and Jennifer really are sick, and so let's be in prayer for them. But I joked with him, and I said, it's kind of convenient this morning, right? But I've asked 4 individuals. Now, we have many great fathers here that we could glean from here at Coweta Church. However, I asked 4 individuals who probably would not want to grab a microphone and be on stage, and who probably have been under a lot of pressure since I asked them to do this. And so I'm going to ask these individuals to come up. We're going to ask Mr. Dennis Hargrove. Mr. Nick Stone, Mr. Calvin James, and where's he at? Mr. Ted Sewell, there he is. So y'all give them a hand as they come up. Now, not only will they will each have their own microphone. So I told Dennis, I said,
That's scary.
Yeah. I told Dennis, there's no pressure, just don't mess up, right? Hey, this is yours, sir. Now, the reason why I was being very selective in this, Mr. Chris Tomier, as you know, he has teenage boys. And I was looking at fathers in different stages of fatherhood. And those who have younger, say children, but, teenagers or younger kids. Those who have kids who are in their 20s and kind of beginning life, like Mr. Seth Hargrove over here, got down on his knee the other day and proposed to Miss Anna Shaw and is getting married now. He's trying to be reserved. This boy's excited, trust me. He's still trying to figure out why she said yes, but, but whatever it is, don't pray for her, right? And but we're very proud for him and this new journey he's beginning. And, of course, the Hargroves have wonderful kids and still has a teenager, fixing to be 20 soon, and then triplets. Triplets. I don't know why I'm still amazed at this, Dennis, but triplets. And, of course, Mr. Calvin, he has 3 daughters, and one of them still in her mid-20s, and then 2 that are 19, 21, 30-ish. Was getting with young grandkids. Of course, Mr. Ted Sewell, he has great-grandkids, right? You got great-grandkids? Great-grandkids. Great-grandkids. And, I know grandkids I've heard is such a blessing because you can give them back. But great-grandkids, like, what's that feeling like, And so we're going to have them, I'm going to interview them live today. And I don't expect them to go through every single question or answer every question. And again, I know that they've been really fretting this since I've asked them to do it. And but I also know that their hearts are very sincere. And I know that they really have a heart for God and have a passion for God. And they're all wonderful fathers, just like many of you out there. So are y'all ready for an interview? All right. So I told them to practice. Ted said he was going to preach this morning, too. So we're going to... Not a chance. And so I just appreciate these guys and their willingness to do this. How many is even interested in this right now? So I know, and the one that Mr. Nick Stone here, I wasn't sure if he was going to be here this morning. And so I texted him and said, hey, are you going to be at church this morning? He said, yeah. I said, hey, I need you to join me on stage. He's like, all right. I didn't have all week to fret about it. So catching him off guard was a God thing. And, of course, he's got grown kids and grandkids. And so we're just so grateful for you guys, and we appreciate your hearts. And I'm just going to start off just asking questions. There's no really solid outline to this. They did present them with some questions early. They did not submit answers at all. And so this is kind of like what? I gave it to them yesterday. So, so I didn't want them to have too much time to think about it, right? And so I know the Hargroves are loving this right now, And so I'm going to start off with kind of guiding the discussion in a way, but there's really no solid direction that we're going to go with this. And so it's okay if we just kind of have just a laid back, nonchalant, like we're just sitting around a campfire kind of a thing. Didn't want to set a fire in the church today, so we'll do that some other time. And but I did want to have a moment where we just kind of had some discussions and just interview 4 great dads from Coweta Church. Are we good with that? All right. So the first thing I want to ask, thinking about Joshua chapter 24, verse 15, it's a scripture we all know very well, where Joshua said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Use the Amorites. You could serve whoever you want to serve. You could have your gods. But my house, we're going to serve the Lord. And I think, as fathers, not just fathers, but Christian fathers, we really endeavor to raise our kids knowing Christ the best we can. We know we're not perfect. We're doing our best to be as Christ-like as possible. And I'm learning. So I'm taking this as a moment where I'm interviewing you. You're teaching me, and I'm learning from you about fatherhood. So one of the questions I want to ask in serving the Lord and being fathers who serve God and want your children to serve God, how did your understanding of life change after becoming a father? So think about that moment when you first became a father. Dennis, you had triplets, man. Like, I couldn't even imagine. I remember when Emma was born, and one of the first things I did, because I was told one of the first things you're going to do is count their fingers and toes. Didn't understand why. I thought that was weird. And the moment she was born, the first thing I did, it felt like a dream. And especially the first kid, it felt like for me, it felt like I was in a dream. And the first thing I did was count her fingers and toes, because I knew with my genetics, she was going to end up like with 8 fingers on one hand or something. And so that between that and her following my voice was like a life-changing moment. And I will never forget that. And then after that, with each kid, it was kind of fun doing the same thing. But that first time where you realize how important your voice is to your child in utero and how they already recognize it. And so as fathers, what was one of the most life-changing moments after becoming a father? Like, when did it really hit? When was it like, I've got to keep these things alive? You know, like, this is a big moment, and I've got to, I can't just take care of myself now and my wife, I've got to take care of a child now. So how did your understanding of life change after becoming a father? I'll let whoever wants to go first.
I know just for me personally, it was the fact that the world wasn't just about me anymore. That, I mean, yeah, you have a wife, and yeah, you're there for each other, but the second kids are brought into the world. And I wasn't as blessed as Dennis. I only had 2 at one time. So, but it was amazing, because you instantly feel like they're going to depend on me. And your mind starts going to places of, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? So it's to know that you're not the center of everything anymore, that you're going to have to give up that, be sacrificial about yourself now and take care of them. That's what the biggest thing for me was. And also, I can't keep a plant alive, so I don't know how they stayed alive. So, but yeah, I mean, my big thing was, how am I going to feed them? Because we were poor. So, but they lived. They're doing well.
All right, anybody else?
I don't think it really hit me at first what being a father means. But, think about a baby. What a miracle. It only can come from God. I just soon not have a microphone. But this is a personal gift from God to give you a child. And I don't think I haven't always been the father that I'd like to be, but I have two of the most amazing young people that ever come into this world as children. Now, my wife has an awful lot to do with this. This is not Mother's Day, but Mother's right there all the time. I appreciate my children so much. And my children was instrumental in leading me and Martha to the Lord. And I think they've been more of an example than I have to them. They've been more an example to me. And that maybe didn't answer the question, but
That was perfect. That was perfect. All right. Dennis, do you have anything?
I agree with Calvin. You go from self-sufficient to it's on. To, well, for me, 3 individuals that were relying on me to take care of them. That, and when we had the 3, it was, they had complications, so it was trusting in God, to bring them through. It wasn't all anything we could do, you know, we were having to pray that they would make it all. So.
Well, I think I have to pretty much go along with what Ted was saying, is that my kids, to me, were a better example toward me than I was toward them. And I wasn't following the Lord when Jamie was born, or even Dustin or Jordan there for a while. And but as I've watched my boys in their lives, and I'll tell them this often, and I even post about it sometimes. If you ever see my name on Facebook, you'll see something about my boys. But I'm so proud of them for being the men that they are. And I see, you can always, as a dad, look back and see, I failed, and I was miserable in this time when I did this, and I let my boys down, let my wife down. And but you know, as you go on in life, you start to understand that you're vulnerable, and you're just a person like everybody else around you. And my ideas of how to raise a family, of course, I tried to follow my dad's, and I knew I couldn't come up to that standard. I just couldn't do it. But as I approached my 50s, finally, and I hope I can say this, I started to get just a little understanding of grace. And not until I was in my 50s did I have any idea about grace. And I was raised in church all my life. But when I finally understood somewhat, and as the years have gone by since I was in my 50s, a few years ago, I started to really understand more about the grace of God, and that we're all fallible and we're all vulnerable. But thank God for the opportunity to have a family and to have a wife and some boys that I'm so proud of. And I thank God so much for his grace. Well, man, I'm not sure that's what you wanted, but
this is perfect. And you know, one of the most impactful things my dad ever did as a father, of all the mistakes that he said that he made, the moment where it began changing everything, after I said, regardless of how he's acting, I'm going to love him and pursue him in Christ. And the day he sat down and he said, I'm sorry, changed everything between us. And so to hear Dad say, hey, I'd made mistakes, I probably wasn't the best example, man, that speaks more volumes as a father than anything else I think that we can do. And I think every one of us as dads, we want to be the best dads. You know, we don't want to just wear like Calvin showing off this morning, that he's the best dad ever, We all want to be great dads, Some of us don't have the T-shirts, custom made T-shirts. And but I think we all endeavor to be that. We all want to be great dads, and we want to be remembered. Man, y'all got me crying, man. We want to be remembered. Not because of anything. We don't be rewarded, I don't think. I think it's just we want them to know that we love them and we're there for them, and we make mistakes, and we have to work through them too. And so I think when we share those things, and we're vulnerable, because a lot of times guys are not raised to be vulnerable. We're raised to be, you don't cry, dry it up. If those kind of things, you got to bottle it up, and you can't share those feelings that are anything like that. And so hearing fathers talk like that, I think, is one of the most impactful things that we can hear. Now, I do want to ask you, this was not in your notes. Nick never got notes. So this, I want to ask, this is kind of a more lighthearted question that kind of does not really tie into the question, but can you think of one moment after becoming, as your new father, that you did something really silly, or like something that, I'll give you an example. When this goes to my firstborn again, when she was born, we had those bottles that didn't have the bottom to them, that you had the little bag thing that you put in, and she had colic and everything else under the sun. It was on a special formula. Had to be the most expensive formula too, and so we had those. moments where you had to put the little bag. You don't know what I'm talking about, the bag, and then you put the formula or milk or whatever in. And it was like 2:30 in the morning, and Amber said, hey, Emma's awake, she's hungry. And so I'm in there, and I'm preparing all this formula stuff, and I just pour it into the bottle. I didn't put the bag in, and so I had wet feet. And I was half asleep, and I was trying to figure out why my feet were wet. It was kind of one of those moments. Do y'all have anything like that? Just one of those really interesting moments where you just did something extremely silly as a dad?
Well, I don't know if this was silly, but first time I saw Angela was in the hospital, at little hospital in Wagner, where she was born. And I think it was the next day, if I remember right, but I went out and I bought her a dress. Now, what kind of a dress can a baby wear, you know? But it was kind of starchy looking and frilly, but it was a dress. And that might have been kind of corny, but. Pardon? You have the dress? I don't remember if you ever wore it, but.
I was too scared to do anything silly. I was afraid I was going to break them the whole time, so I carried them like they were porcelain. That's all I did. That's all I did. Now, when you get older and you have grandkids, now I will tell on myself for this one. When we drove to Florida, the big thing was, I was with Wade in the car, and Dana's car has a thing telling you to check the back seat. Well, I turned it off because I thought it was silly. I left Wade in the car, and I went in the gas station, and Ashton goes, "Where's Wade?" And I'm like, "Oh!" There I went. I was a grandfather at this time. Never did that with my own children, but yeah. I left him in a Buc-ee's parking lot.
When we had three, we were trying to get them around places and everything, and me and Misty came up with we started pulling them in a little red wagon to the doctor, the mall. We took it everywhere. So.
Y'all didn't get one of those Cadillac strollers with the 3-seaters, and we pull them in the red wagon, the little Red Ryder wagon.
No, I never did anything like that.
I have a feeling that there's some.
There's some stuff that's not appropriate for church.
No, I don't know about anything silly, but it may seem silly to you. It was serious to me. But y'all ever change a diaper? You ever get that burning in your lip when you think you're just about to go? I've had that a few times.
That's a good way to put it. That is awesome. Yeah, so the whole leaving in the car thing, you see all these situations where it's detrimental, and I have to admit, I left Emma in the car. Why? I don't know what's always Emma, but she was. I tell her often she was our guinea pig. You had 3 again in a wagon, and I didn't have a wagon. And I remember we were pastoring up in Kansas, and we always went to this Mexican restaurant in Coffeyville. And I remember she was in the back seat, and usually she's loud, but she's still loud. But she was very quiet, and I had one of the members in the car with me, and he and I got there. We parked, got out, just in conversation, walked in, and they said, "How many?" And I said, "Well, it's me, Amber, Terry, Emma," and I ran back out. But it's a scary feeling, I mean, she's just sitting there in her seat, just buckled up. Thankfully, it was like in a fall, cool day. But I from that moment, how many's ever done this? Like, you might have dropped your kids off or something, or going to work, and you look back like 50 times. And I still do it, and I don't have little kids anymore, but I still do it. That I think I forgot my kids. But the worst situation I had with Emma was when she was about 3 years old or so. Amber worked at a salon at the front of a Walmart in Coffeyville. And we were in the electronic section, and I was getting something, and I saw Emma's Emma always put these little hair bows on top, like pebbles from Flintstones. And so I saw that going around the corner, and then as I was ringing up, I looked and she was gone. I walked around, she was gone. And I had that moment where it set in. And you know what fear you're talking about. You know, like when your kids hide in the clothes racks or whatever, and I didn't know what to do. I ran to the front, and I'm screaming, my kid is gone, my kid is gone. I thought maybe she went to try to find her mom, thinking she was there. I ran back to the back, and this teenage guy, his eyes got really big. I slammed my hands on the counter, and I'm screaming, lock this place down. My kid is gone. I mean, I was in mode. I was in panic mode, and I was like, nobody's leaving unless I find my kid. And then all of a sudden, I guess this lady heard me. She walked over. She said, is this somebody's child? And here comes her little thing holding one of those big old tubs of cheese balls. And ever since then, I resent cheese balls. I've never in my life. Sorry, I didn't. But we don't have those cheese balls anymore. So I'm glad you still got the dress, right? Now, are there any like traditions or practices that you do often to keep faith alive in the family? Is there any things? Some people have like traditions, some have, certain practices or something, but is there anything that you try to do to constantly keep faith active in your family?
We don't have anything in particular in our home, but other than we go to church. Right. We come to church. That's our thing. The girls knew that Sunday morning you just got up and we went to church. We didn't have any. That's just what we did, and that's really the main thing for us was we just got up and went to church, and that was just part of it. So that's the one thing that we always had.
So I guess I would say, how important do you feel like church is in the lives of your kids as they're growing up? How important is it?
Extremely. Yeah, it's extremely important. Unlike Calvin, we didn't have anything major. I mean, go to church, that's our main thing. And, serve. We've served in various things, throughout the years, and the kids have been involved in that, so.
Right.
I think the going to church is something that, even after being raised in church and being there every time the doors were open, I can remember, Pat, 5-week revivals. We didn't miss a time. But there was times when I got thinking, do we really need all this? And so I become lax at different times. And but now, as I've gotten older, not necessarily so much wiser, but as I've gotten older, I see more, even from the Scripture. Before, I was just kind of going on my own what I felt, but even in that, seeing the importance of coming together and being with people who love the Lord, who have your back, and this is family. This is community. If you don't have this family, then who are you going to have? So you're going to have someone. You're going to have somebody you identify with, and I'd rather identify with the people of the Lord.
When we first got married and had kids, we wasn't in church. Our kids was small, and they was coming to church with my mom and dad, going to Sunday school. And there we were, me and Martha, doing our own thing. And it finally dawned on both of us that our kids are in church. Where are we at? And they was instrumental in getting us to church. And we found the Lord one Sunday morning, the Sunday before Christmas. And I think we've been, all the time they was growing up, from then on, we were in church. And that's the most important thing you can do is raise your kids in church. There's nothing like it.
So when we read Luke chapter 15 regarding the prodigal son, the son who left the father, took and spoiled, just spent all of his inheritance, and then thought he'd be better as a servant in his father's house. And when he came back to his father's house after hitting kind of rock bottom, instead of the father reprimanding or going, what we say, just losing it on the son, he ran after him, which is not a common thing in that time. To run it's kind of looked down upon in that culture. But he ran towards his son and he hugged him and kissed him and said, "My son is home." And so that's a beautiful story of the Father's love for us as his children. But the question I want to ask is, how have your children taught you more about God's love? I know you shared somehow that your children have been a great example and a model for you. But after having kids and the love that, the Word talks about, the love of the Father shed abroad in our heart, how has your children taught you more about God's love?
This might not be the right answer, but I'd like to say something about, I think we're a product of our mother and dad. And my mother and dad, they didn't tell us every day that they loved us. They didn't have to. They showed us. And my dad was the hardest working man. He taught me that if you're going to have anything in life, you have to work for it. And my dad was a hard worker. My mom was a hard worker. So we're a product of who our parents are. And I just wanted to, I hope I was the same to my children. And I believe we were. I believe we were good parents. But love your children is all I can say. Tell them every day. Love your wife. It's not unmanly to tell your wife that you love her. I tell my wife every night before we go to bed, I love her. And I tell my children I love them. I think that's very important.
I agree with Ted. And I look at my boys, and again, they're such better men than I am. And I don't say that with any being ashamed or anything. They're just good men. And but I think the reward for me is looking at how they love their families. And that's more than I can ask for. And they love the Lord. And those are things that are important to me. And I have to give credit to their mama. And she's been a rock for them. She's been a kind of a hard rock sometimes, but she's been a good rock for them. And but telling your kids you love them. When I see my boys now, I don't care where we are. It's a hug and maybe even a kiss on the cheek. And I love my boys, and I just do it automatically. I just love them, and I want them to know that. I don't ever want them to doubt that or question that. But I do love my boys and love my family, and I want to show them that.
I love my kids. My kids love me. If that's, to me, that's how we know that God truly loves us, unconditionally. So.
Well, I think one of the things that I have, after reading that question, I kind of put some thought into it, and was all the times that I did lose my cool, or I did get mad, or I was upset with them, they were still willing to come to me and talk to me and still ask me questions, even if they knew that I was upset. And that just shows me that if they were able to do that with me and my anger, then there's no reason I can ever go to God. There's no reason that I can't step before his throne and ask him or have a request or just pray to him and have a relationship with him. Even when I was upset, they still looked at me as daddy. So even when I mess up, I can still look at God and say, Father, I've messed up, and know that he's still going to hug and love me and care for me. I think that's one of the things that I got after reading that question, putting some thought into it, was that they were able to come to me, even when they know that Dad was mad. And because, I stayed mad for some time sometimes, So, and they were still willing to come to me. And that showed me that if they can come to me in my anger, I can always go to God because He's always loves me. So that's why.
Awesome. So I have an almost 18-year-old daughter, okay? And so 18, 13, 9, and 7. So I still have young kids, and I've got one who is 18 and grown and knows it all, And I'm just joking. I love you. And so and so my question, so I'm asking this: how do you maintain a strong relationship with your kids as they get older? What is the best ways that you've found is to keep a strong relationship with them?
Well, I'll step out there first, I guess. Jump right in the middle of that one. It's a day-by-day thing. And she was 17 yesterday. She's 18 today. And next year she'll be 19. You continue to flow in that fatherhood mode, and you change with the times just like she'll change. And I think by letting them, and this is hard for dads to do, especially when you've been the guy, the strong arm of the family, but let them see your vulnerability. And my boys have seen mine, and if any of y'all have ever worked cattle, say no more. So they've seen me at possibly my worst during those times, and Nita and Jack could probably hear me out there. But anyway, there's just certain times and certain things in life that'll try you, and you have to, go back to God and say, Lord, I've failed again, and I've failed in front of my family. And but as your kids progress, that would just be my 2 cents. It's not worth a whole lot, but she's never been 18 or 19 before either. So
I think the biggest thing is always keep that line of communication open, to make it where as they get older that they know they can come to you with questions that, I didn't grow up with a father, so I didn't have somebody to go to. So, but now, don't get me wrong, there were some men in this church that got some questions from me. Jerry Jameson always got the most because I have all girls, he had all girls. And my question was how do you put up with this? And all he would say was, you got to pray. And I was like, thanks. I'm already doing that. Anyways, but keep that line of communication open. Let them know that if they're ever having a problem, be there for them. If they're riding on that mountaintop, you're cheering for them. If something's going wrong and they feel like they're at rock bottom, to be there to lift them up, and always have just keep that relationship in that area. But you also have to be honest with them too. If you see them messing up, you got to still be dad, and they understand that. They do. So, but just keep that line of communication open and make them understand that you're dad no matter what, but you're also, when they get older, you can start being friends. She's not your friend yet. She's still, I'm kidding. Don't look at me like that. But as they get older, when they, we got one that's moved away, and it is difficult. I texted her yesterday, and I was crying when I was texting her. Don't judge me. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I was texting her yesterday because all my kids were there. But it's just being willing to communicate and be there no matter what, and they'll see that, and that's how your relationship will stay strong.
Well, I'm not about to tell the age of my kids, but or my daughter, I should say. But Kenneth is 62, and Angela's a little bit older. But I am so proud of my kids. When you have a daughter that's a hospice nurse, I don't know how she does it. She's done it for 25 years or more, I think 25. And she's got a heart for people that you just can't imagine. And I'm so thankful for the success that she's had. And Kenneth has really done good. Proud of him. We were talking a while ago about loving your kids and kissing them and telling them you love them. When Kenneth was playing ball in college, after every game, we met down on the field. And I'd give him a big kiss and tell him I loved him. Whether he played good or not, it didn't matter. I didn't care who saw me. I kissed him, loved him. And same way fans love him. We're not gushy, but we know we love each other. And that's the main thing. That's not answering the question.
Appreciate it. So, what advice would you give your younger self as a new father? If you could look back.
I'm gonna take that one, and I'm gonna steal from Nick on this one. Have grace on yourself. You're gonna mess up. God gives you grace. You have to have grace on yourself too, because if you're as hard on yourself as you want to be, you're gonna crush yourself. So that's one of the things I've had as I've gotten older that I've tried to do. As Nick said earlier, learning about God's grace to us, we have to learn to give ourselves some grace too, and know that we're not going to be perfect. We're not going to do everything right. We're going to mess up. We're going to say things. We're going to get angry when we shouldn't. Have grace on yourself.
Have grace and patience, and enjoy the moments because they pass by really quick.
I agree with all these guys.
Is there anything that fatherhood taught you that you were not prepared for? That nobody could have prepared you for?
We don't have time. There is a lot. Now, coming from my perspective of having girls, I was not because I was taught you didn't cry as a man, as a boy, but I had daughters that went out the window. I'm about as mushy as a pot of mashed potatoes when it comes to my girls. I am just mushy. I'm all that. But I've always heard people say, well, I'll have kids when I'm ready, or when I'm financially stable, or when I'm this or that. You will never, ever be in that place. Ever. Never. Because kids cost way more money than what you think you have. But you just can't understand how these little bundles, when they're born, can transform your entire mindset. When my girls were born, I got to carry Caitlin. This is way back, so this is how old they are. I got to actually carry her from the room to the nursery. And the nurses teased when I got there that they were afraid that I was going to run over things because I just couldn't take my eyes off of her. I was walking there. They're letting me walk with this baby without ever looking up. I'm like this the whole time. And that's one of the things that you cannot prepare for, is how much having these children is going to completely and utterly change who you are. Because if it doesn't, you probably need to get checked, because they will change every aspect of you. That's one of the things that you're not prepared for.
You know, you're never ready to have children, I don't think, or you don't realize what you're getting into. Thank God that me and Martha got married we were both really young, and we didn't have our first child until for 5 years. We surely wouldn't been ready when we first got married. But that's all.
You know, I think every dad wants to leave a legacy for their kids. You know, not that, again, not the reward part or anything of that nature, but just like Psalm 78 says, we will not hide them from their children. We will tell to the coming generation the glorious deeds of the Lord and his might and his wonders that he has done. And then it talks about how that they want to let the next generation that they might know Christ, or not might know God, and the children yet unborn rise up and tell them their children. So they should set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments. So there's always been this generational thing that we always want to pass down to our kids. Of course, we want to pass God down to our kids. But the first question I want to ask is, who left a godly legacy in your life, and how did they influence you as a father?
As I said earlier, I didn't grow up with a father. My father was absent. So the fathers that I modeled myself after were from this church. Ted, Gary, Ed, Jerry, all kinds of guys. I modeled them because I saw them. I never saw what my dad could do unless it was something bad. But that's how I modeled my life. That's how I modeled being a father. So I'm so grateful for the men of this church because I was able to look at them and say, I didn't see that in my father, but I see that in them. So that's where I got the most influence.
I'd agree with that. I mean, father-in-law Gary, he was a good, godly man, and all the men in the church. Probably one in high school though was my basketball coach, which he went to this church, Sean McDaniel. He was a wonderful man that taught us a lot.
My father was a quiet man. I know he loved the Lord. He wasn't bold like me in telling people. But my grandpa Oswald was a member of the Church of God, and he was a big German, big man. And I don't remember, I remember him being in church with him, but I don't remember him. I've been told that he sat on maybe the second row, always had a cane, sitting like this on his cane. But they said when he would get happy, he would let out a yell that would scare you to death, I guess. But he was a man of God, and I would like to be just a little bit like him. More bold. I'm not bold with my Christian experience like we're supposed to be. We need to be bold and tell people what Jesus has done for us.
I'd have to say my dad and my grandfather. And of course, by being with them all my life, and I was around a lot of men who made an impact. And there was a lot of good men, and they weren't all ministers, but they were good men, and I knew they loved the Lord. And so just by being a Christian, a man who loves God, they'll make an impact on you.
There's so much that I could ask you guys that I would love to. And we'll probably do something like this again. But I have a couple more questions for you. But one thing I am amazed is how influential men of God are in the church. I mean, just listen to you guys. I mean, and I've shared many times that the one who made the biggest impact in my heart was a guy named Ken Thompson, who was a Sunday school teacher, former pastor, but Sunday school teacher who saw this young man who didn't have a good relationship with the father and kind of took me under, became a mentor to me, and still to this day I still talk about him because that was the most impactful thing that had ever been done. I mean, I watched him, I mimicked him, everything. I wanted the relationship with God like he had. He was the greatest godly example that I could imagine. And so I'm amazed at how many people are impacted by men of God in the church. And I would imagine too that many are watching you four guys and many others in this church and watching your relationship with God. I want to ask the next two questions. I want to make it very practical. And Take your time on this one. But what do you hope your children remember most about you? Children and grandchildren. What do you want them to remember most about you?
Well, I'll be very brief. One, obviously, I want them to know that I love God. But growing up the way I did, I want them to know that I was there. No matter what, I was there.
I want them to know that I love them more than the world. It's knowing that I truly love them, no matter what.
You know, when you get to be as old as me, you realize that your days are numbered. And I'm just thankful that I don't have to worry about what comes after this life, because I know. There's a song, and I can't remember the title of it, but it tells about when you get to heaven, you're gonna recognize those ones that you love. When they come into heaven, you'll know them, and I believe that. And that gives me great comfort knowing that I'm not just going to get to see Jesus. I like the song, I can only imagine. I can only imagine what I'll say when I see Jesus. I probably won't be able to say anything because I'll just be in awe. And that's what I want to do. And I want to see my family someday in heaven. That sounds morbid. I'm not trying to mean death, but death don't bother me. I'm thankful that I know my children now and my wife now, and I'm going to love them until my last breath. And I want them to know that.
I think I would have my family to know. That would include my kids, my grandkids, and my great-grandkids, who I got to hold one yesterday for quite a while. It was quite a day. But that I love God, and that I never felt like I was worthy of His grace, and that I never felt like I had arrived, even as we sit here on this stage, and we've got young guys sitting here now, know that we have not arrived, and we don't have it all figured out. But that we are still evolving and growing and learning, even at this old age, and how to be, if we can be better people, but how to love others. I look back on my life, and then we talk about the grace of God, and how sometimes when you see how you have been wrong in an area, or you've been short-sighted, or you failed in an area, then you see the grace of God in bringing you up to that point, and you almost feel like you've been saved again. But I want them to be able to have a relationship with God, to know that their lives will continue to evolve, and they'll continue to know and love the Lord, and that they will love each other and love others as God would have them to love other people.
So I'll ask this, and this is go ahead, I'm sorry.
Grandkids and great-grandkids, but I've got 5 great-grandkids that live in Virginia, and 3 of them's going to get to come to Oklahoma next week, and they've never stayed all night with Grandma. They call us Papa Dude and Grandma Dude, and we talk just about every week. Trevor Trevor is quite a guy. He's in the military, and he's stationed, or not stationed. Works in Quantico, but he calls every week. Mostly FaceTimes us or me, and he'll call me early in the morning. Every Saturday morning, he takes the kids, and he calls it Dadder Day, and they go have their donuts, and they go on an outing. They might go hiking or some kind of adventure every Saturday, and I think that's so great. But they'll FaceTime me, and the other day, Noli is 10, I think. She said, "I just can't wait to get you in my arms." And what a treat. I can't wait to see him.
So, very practical question, and we'll try to end on this. What has been your greatest joy of being a father?
Greatest joy of being a father? I would say watching your children grow up, which is also the hardest part of being a father. Kind of a catch-22 there. I was telling Dana this morning, I said it's beautiful to watch them grow up, become adults, see them living a good life, doing things that they want to do, doing the right things. But when you look at your kids, I always see my girls. I was actually looking at this picture that they put on this shirt. Yeah, I'm showing off the shirt again. Anyways, but when I look at this picture, I see a couple of 7-year-olds and about a 3-year-old. I don't see them as 30 and 25. Ugh. But my greatest joy is to watch your kids grow up and to grow into who they want to be. That's the biggest thing for me. Seeing my kids, Kate's fixing to start her PhD. It's something she's wanted to do for a long time. Ashton's Mother of the Year 100 times over. Kenzie's off living her life, doing things the right way. So that's the thing that we as fathers want. We want to know that our kids grow up and do well. That's the most satisfaction, I think, for us.
And to dominate the microphone, but to see your kids be productive in life, I think that's the greatest joy you can have.
Yeah, I agree with Calvin and Ted. And seeing them serve the Lord. That is the greatest thing you could ask for as a father, is to see them kind of follow in your footsteps and serving the Lord. So.
And I agree with all these guys. But I think, I've told Karen and at different times, I can see in our boys, I can remember when they were small. And all you parents, I know you can relate to this, that when your kids, when something hurts them, there's a look in their eyes. And you know their eyes, and you know what that hurt looks like. And I can remember that, even as old as I am, I can remember when they were little and that hurt in their eyes. But something that now that just really blows me away is when I hear my boys' kids and they're discussing or sharing things from the scriptures and some theology that blows me away. And I can't explain what that does to me, because I didn't have all that. We attended church, we were in church all of our lives, but that deep grounding in the scriptures and to hear my little grandkids espousing those things just it blows me away. And I'm so thankful to hear those things.
So, let's just say this in one sentence. If you could just put it down to one sentence, what would you say to all the young guys here who are potentially be fathers one day.
You can do this.
You could do this.
You know, we need more young families in our church, but ones we got, thank God for our families. And I don't know, I get in front of a crowd, I can't say what's really on my heart sometimes. I don't know after I've said anything, does it make any sense? My goodness. See this young couple over here? They got two beautiful boys. You want to have another child? Wow. What a blessing. And to see them in church, a double blessing. See Courtney and Ryan, beautiful children. I'm telling you, you look at them kids and you think, my Lord, you outdone yourself. I see the Calvin's daughter and her young children. Keep them in church. Love the Lord. I've said too much.
Pray, love the Lord, and don't be scared to say you're sorry when you get things wrong. I mean, we all make mistakes, so it's the willingness to say you're sorry and ask for forgiveness. So.
Enjoy it. Enjoy every little thing. Enjoy it. Because it seems like yesterday I was standing out here and my girls were being dedicated by Terry Stone right here, and now they're 30, which makes me really old. But enjoy every second. Enjoy it. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but enjoy it. Love them. Love your kids. That's the greatest thing you can give them. It's not the stuff. It's not all that. It's love. Show them that you love them. Hug them. I'm a hugger. My girls know that. They know that I'm a hugger, and I'm that person that hugs and I don't want to let go. I'm not going to talk about my wife. Caitlin's mimicking her mother right now. Just kidding. But love them and enjoy it. Enjoy everything about it, because it goes by way too fast.
You know, many years ago, I got asked to stand up here and say something about my dad. And, you know, at the time, I didn't take it as serious as I should have. And as I've gotten older, you know, when you're a young teenager, you think your parents don't know anything. And I'll say there's been many instances where I was like, Dad did not know what he was talking about. But every year I get older and older, I realize more and more. And I can say this about everyone sitting up here, and I know their kids can say the same. But the thing about being a father that I've learned the most from my dad is dedication. And Matt talked about a legacy that you want to leave with your children. It's the dedication that my dad has given us. I mean, there was never a moment from every late night sitting there doing junior high math, and Lord knows those were the worst moments of my life as a junior higher, and maybe Dad's too, to every ball game that we ever had. I never had to wonder where Dad was at. He was always there, whether it was first thing in the morning or late in the evening. And as I've gotten older, you know, I've grown to appreciate it a lot more. And so I can say to all the fathers out here, thank you for your dedication. because to a young man, it means a lot to have a dad that I can look to and say, you know what, that's how I want to love my wife one someday, like he loves my mom. How I want to love my kids like he loved us. And how he continues to love us every day. My dad is a man of very few words, if y'all can't tell. But he doesn't have to say them. And I just want everybody here to know that them words, they don't have to be said, because every day it's an action that's shown to us. I'm not going to lie. There's days where I feel like, it's hard to express that as a guy. I mean, we all know it's hard because we're not very emotional. But the emotion comes in the actions that you show, and my dad has been the best ever showing that. And I love you for it.
Yeah, you can skip that non-emotional stuff once you become a dad. Matthew, I think you just gave your dad the best Father's Day gift possible. Y'all got to step up now. First of all, I want to say thank you guys for doing this. I know it's the first time we ever did anything like this, and you really don't know how it's going to go, but I appreciate your vulnerability from speaking from your heart. And I think you spoke so much life to so many out here, including me. I'm the youngest dad on the stage right now with the youngest kids, and I'm still going to go through a lot of this stuff, and so I'm probably going to be coming to y'all asking a lot of questions soon. And but I appreciate your willingness to do this at such short notice. Even though I sent the questions early and yesterday. But if y'all don't mind, y'all just give them a hand. We appreciate the. Got something else you want to say?
Next time you do something like this or ask me to do something, don't tell me on Wednesday night.
Well, it was a last minute decision. I'm like, why don't we try this? And so you were the first one I went to.
Tell me right before we could come up here.
Oh, so that's what I didn't want to happen. It's like, hey, just come on up here. And but no, I appreciate the vulnerability. I could have sat here all day and asked a million more questions. And I glean a lot from these guys. They're wonderful men. There's so many of you out there that are wonderful fathers, and I'm asking you questions too. But I just hope all of our fathers have a wonderful Father's Day. Being a father is one of the greatest joys a man can have. And I just know that it's also one of the hardest things that a man can do. And I'm learning that more each day. So thank you, guys. We love you. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of our fathers. We have a nice little gift out for you. Please pick that up on your way out to the right. We should have more than enough. Take a couple if you need to on the way out. And if you're not a father yet, if you're a young man, these are some of the best guys you'll ever learn from. And many out here, some of the best guys you'll ever learn from. They're great men of God. They love God. They love their kids. They love their spouse. And just glean from them. And if you don't know where to look, you're in a great place. Great place. Thank you, Matthew, for sharing that. Thank you. If you don't mind, let's pray as we close out. Father, we're so grateful, Father, just for this sit-down conversation. Lord, we appreciate all of our fathers. We appreciate all that you've done in and through their lives. Father, I pray, Lord, that we as men, as fathers, understand your grace more than we ever have. That we look to you as the perfect example of a father who's willing to sacrifice and give all. Father, I know that fatherhood in our culture is not celebrated to the extent that maybe it should. Father, and I know we have such a pandemic of fatherlessness. But Lord, I pray that you strengthen our fathers. Give them wisdom and guidance. Give them peace in their hearts and minds, Father. And let them see you for who you are. Lord, as we lead our next generation, our kids and our grandkids and great-grandkids to know you and to follow you. And we thank you for it all. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
I'll say one other thing.
You're more than welcome. You've earned it.
I think sometimes I know families that has trouble with their kids, and I think, why am I so lucky that I've had two children that never give us a minute's problem, and I see other families that just seems like their kids just can't get on the right track, and I don't know if it's because me and Martha come to church with our kids. I know some families these families that's having problems with their kids, most of them aren't in church. So that ought to tell you something. We are so lucky. We're so blessed. Thank you.
Bless you. Thank you so much. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers.